Now, moving on to the other similarity, what the Indian and the American constitutions are having is that the Indian constitution as well as the American constitution frameworks have kept in view the word of federalism. What is federalism? What is the meaning of the word federalism? What do we get covered in the word of federalism? What is the similarity between Indian and the American context? Federalism is, according to the history, it's having two set of governments. And the contrary to this is a one set of government. The federalism means two set of governments. What is the meaning of the word federal? Federal is taken from the word called fidovus. It is a Latin word meaning fidovus. It is the Latin word which is giving a meaning of called agreement. Now, what is the view opposite to this? We have opposite to federalism, we have the future of unitary government. Then what is unitary government? What is federal government? What are the views of unitary government? What are the views of federal government? Why did Indians did not pitch for the unitary government and what made them to move on towards the federal setup? What are the points that made them to guide towards this one? Now let us see here. What is unitary government is that in unitary government we have only one polity. Polity means that the framework of the government, the rules, the regulations, the setup of the government, the polity. So in single polity, a nation where we have 400 million of population at that point of time can't address all the issues. This is the view expressed by many of them in the Constituent Assembly. So in order to get rid of the problems of the people in the unitary view, where it is fit only for the small regions like Athens or small countries like Italy and all these nations where they are following the unitary set of government. Now, what is the meaning of federal government? Federal government, we know the meaning is fedus, the meaning is agreement. It is a Latin word. It's meaning that we have two set of governments. It is the technical term is dual polity. What is dual polity? I think we all know what is the meaning of the word polity. Polity is a word which gives us the meanings, rules and regulations of the entire government, setup, ministers and everything. Now dual means two. So what is two polities? How can two governments will be framed? Simple. We have two governments. One is at the central level. The other one will be at the respective state level. The technical terms are union, regional. Union government, regional government. Now how can the powers be shared between these two? That is the reason why I explained the meaning of the word federal, or it's taken from fidovus, meaning agreement. The constitution has divided the powers between the two governments. They have given some autonomy for these two governments in their particular spheres for them. For example, the central government is given the entire responsibility, or the union government is given the entire responsibility of maintaining the context of the entire nation, like defense, the foreign policy of India, the military policy of India, the naval policy of India, the economic policy of India, the financial system of India, the boundary setup of India. All these are given the responsibility of the union government. The education policy of India will be framed by the union government. Moving on to the other things. What about the other government's responsibilities? For example, a country like India, where if you suppose forests, the region of forest comes under the union government, then what about the region of Rajasthan region where there are no forests? What are the steps that are going to be taken there? Marriage or the local education policy. For these kind of issues, police administration. The army administration is given for the central powers, then the police administration is given for the respective local governments. So in order to maintain the autonomy in the fields and in order to decentralize the power between them, we have given the authority for them in two parts. So the union government is given the responsibilities on certain issues. The other issues were given the power for the regional parties or the regional powers, or especially the state governments, in order to address the local issues very clearly. For example, a person who is staying in the local region will understand the problems very clearly when compared to a person who is staying in Delhi. This is also one of the logic which is behind the power of sharing the powers here. So in the federal setup, where you have two set of governments, where the entire responsibility is shared between these two. Now to get a clarity on these things, the union government is having some responsibilities and some rights or some powers to certain areas. At the same time, the regions, for example, like Andhra region has a government of its own party or rule, where the Andhra Pradesh state government will have the responsibility of looking after the entire Andhra issues, and overall responsibility is for the central government. In the 29 states of India and one union government, it's not an easy task for the union government to look after all the issues of the all 29 states plus the 7 union territories. So the union government has some responsibilities, and the other minor responsibilities were entrusted with the local governments or the state governments for them to get a better access for it. But we have to remember that the union government is truly bit powerful, like 51% of powers are given for union government, and 49% are given for the state governments. Because in order to maintain the unity of India, in order to maintain the equilibrium balance, if any disturbance occurs in between any state, so that the unitary powers are given for the central government and the states are given a bit less powers. And if any law is made by central government and the state governments on the same issue, the issue of same point which is made by both of them, then the state government law will become void and the central government law will prevail on that particular issue here. In this way, the federal setup was brought to India. Not only this, the similarities between Indian and the American context are going to come to an end, because in America also we have the same federal setup. They also have around some 50 states, and they also have a strong central government or the union government, but at the same time they have a special autonomy for the state governments. Both run in parallel to each other, both does not coincide with each other. These are the major similarities. We have the parliamentary setup in America and in India. We have the federal setup in America as well as in India. These are two major similarities what we are having. Moving on to the dissimilarities or the other issues which are having us and which are not similar to the American setup, we will discuss them.